ושימך לארצך וסוסי לירך שימך לארצך וסוסי לירך צמיחס קרן לדוב ענבדך אריכוס נלבן ישי משיחך במהרה 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 בימינו במהרה 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 בימינו ובכן צדיקים ידעו וישמחו וחסידים בלינה יגידו ובכן צדיקים ידעו וישמחו וחסידים בלינה יגידו אוי אלוהי 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 אוי שימך לארצך וסוסי לירך שימך לארצך וסוסי לירך אוי וצמיחס קרן לדוב ענבדך ואריכוס נלבן ישי משיחך במהרה 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 בימינו במהרה 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 בימינו ובכן צדיקים ידעו וישמחו וחסידים בלינה יגידו שמחה Shalom Aleichem Chavra. Simcha la'artzecha v'sosan lirecha. Yes, it's a nigun for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, but as we prepare with our eyes very much focused on Purim, which is right around the corner, it's clear to everyone in the world that this year's Simcha Sachag must be something that we've never tapped into before, something extraordinary, something very, very, very powerful. And that could be very, very free. That could be very intimidating for many people. I don't mean to make light of the concept, but it is. It could be very intimidating for many people every year. When they start hearing Mishem, it's like, oh man, that means I have to be b'simcha again. Oh, what if that's not my teva? Am I supposed to again put on this masecha before Purim even begins? Should I begin to be fake again? For many people, it's very, very intimidating. So, I saw a statement from Rebbe Nachman that kind of makes me feel, and I'm sure many of us feel, much less lonely. Well, he says like this. I'm going to say it first in Yiddish, and then we're going to explain it. He says that the Avodah von Purim is minasach schwer wie der Avodah von Yom Kippur, which means that the Seder Avodah of serving God on Purim is much more difficult for him than the Seder Avodah was on Yom Kippur. Really? Purim is more difficult for you than Yom Kippur, Rebbe Nachman? What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you referring to? Help us out. Throw us down a lot more clarity with that very powerful statement. What does that mean, that the Seder Avodah of Purim, that to serve God on Purim is so much more difficult for you than it is on Yom Kippur? Well, on Yom Kippur, we're in shul all day long, and the environment is one of a very conducive environment to feel the kedusha, to feel working on yourself, so much davening. But on Purim, my avodah is with things that have to do with eating and giving people brachas, listening to a Megillah, serving God like that, Rebbe Nachman says, is much more difficult. So I want to go into the heart of this statement of Rebbe Nachman and I try to understand it for us today. And be very honest, what else do we have left? Personally speaking, for me also, simcha is it's not my default. It's an avodah. It's an avodah. And there are moments where I forget what I think my default is, and I meet a new person. But usually it requires work. So I think that we have to look at another statement of Rebbe Nachman in order to understand basically what's available to us through this auspicious day of Purim and why the hachana is so important. I'm sure you've all heard the statement that Rabbi Nachman says in the second chelik in Likutei Maharan, Torah Ayin Dalet, 74th Torah. It's a statement that Rabbi Nachman didn't finish. It's a sentence he didn't finish saying, but we have help from the tzaddikim in Breslov to explain to us what the Rebbe meant. And the Rebbe said that in the beginning, all beginnings began from Pesach. Pesach was the beginning of a journey. Pesach was the beginning of an adventure. Pesach was the beginning of finding things. Ve'alken kol ha-mitzvos hem zecher l'tzias Mitzrayim. And therefore, all the mitzvahs we always try to go back to the beginning, and we say it's all in zecher to the Exodus from Egypt, which is the story of Mitzrayim. And if we wanna, with the story of Pesach, and if we wanna go deeper with that statement, then essentially, I heard from Rav Erez Moshe Doron that everything good you could ever want for somebody or for yourself really falls into that place called Pesach, called Geula, redemption. I want to have things better in my life. That's a redemptive way of thinking or of planning towards. And what's that preparation towards that type of cleaning? Towards that type of redemption is cleaning. That's how we prepare for the Geula of Pesach. We clean and we sift through things, and we try to, obviously, it's not just literally cleaning, but we try to get rid of the chometz that may still be in some dark corners in our heart. That's what it used to be. That was the way a Jew began to approach any level of avodas Hashem, by the avodah of I'm going to do tshuva. And it's still essential. You can't skip over that phase. You can't skip over that step. But Rebbe Nachman didn't finish the sentence. All he said was again, Ki bitchila hayu kol ha'atchalot mipesach, ve'al ken kol ha'mitzvot hem zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ve'achshav, but now, and then he finished. He didn't continue the statement. The Ibn Anachal helps us out and says that what the Rebbe meant was, ve'achshav muvan shekol ha'atchalot hem mipurim, but now beginnings are from Purim. What's the preparation for Purim? Simcha. What's the preparation for Pesach? Cleaning. What's the difference between the two? So I want to connect this to how we began learning today, because I think it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful, and I also know that it's very hard, very, very hard. I want to connect this back to the beginning. Rebbe Nachman said that the avodah of Purim is so much more difficult than the avodah of Yom Kippur. You know why? Because on Yom Kippur, when I'm immersed in avodah, which leads me to feel that I'm doing something that is asking God for forgiveness, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I'm in the right place. It gives me the confidence to feel that I'll be forgiven and that good things may begin to happen to me because I've cleaned myself. I've done the work. I've looked deep inside. I've cleansed myself from schmutz. But really, inside, Rebbe Nachman says that's what it used to be. Today, it's a different avodah. All the beginnings begin from Purim. Why is that so much harder? Because you know how much harder it is for me to trust that if I focus on the nekudos tovos, on good points of me, on simchadik parts of me, things that make me happy about myself, that I'll end up having strength to do the cleansing for Pesach. Some people think I don't have the right to be b'simcha. I don't have the right to find good nekudos until I Really stop ignoring the bad stuff. Beseder, of course you have to do that work. But you know how much strength Simcha gives us to do that other work? It gives us so much strength, so much koach. So I know it's hard to believe that. But in essence, anyone who's allowed themselves to be besimcha for absolutely no reason, only because it says Ivdus Hashem besimcha, and then they take that level of simcha towards the geula of Pesach, then you really get the chametz clean because you have enough strength. You have enough koyach to go and look into all the places you perhaps did not want to look. It's too much to look. And that's really how, how like when you take like the or haner, when it says that you're supposed to, and when it comes to Pesach cleaning, you take with the light of the candle, what kind of, you want a nebuch light to walk with you and say, oy, chametz here. Saying, Ribbon Shleim, I can do this. I can do this. This Marbin Besimcha of Adar, this is where I'm starting from. As Rebbe Nachman says, all the hatchalot, now all the beginnings, the way to start the journey towards anything that has to do with working on yourself. It's got to be, you know what, you don't want to smile, you don't want to look like this, that's okay. But inside, there's got to be a smile. Inside, there's got to be something that fills me with pride and trust that the route that I'm taking will take me to the place of literally simcha la'artzecha v'sasan leirecha. Can you imagine if the Chashmonaim said to themselves, we can't do this war on the Yevanim until we really do the nikayon of chametz that's inside of us? There'd be no Hanukkah. Can you imagine if the Yidden that came and built Eretz Yisrael after the Shoah said, listen, we have no right to start settling the land here or whatever because we first have to become complete tzaddikim? Then no big thing would end up happening, and we're still in the process of it. But this thing happens on a general level, and it happens on an individual level. So, now we could really understand what Rebbe Nachman is saying, because you know what? To choose to trust the avoda of simcha, that it really does fill me with strength to do the avoda of tshuva, that's very, very hard. To do the avoda of Yom Kippur, to do the avoda of tshuva, then to think that I'm on the level to do something and do good things, it's not so hard. Everyone feels very holy and very frum after such avoda of tshuva, of Elul and Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. But the avoda that comes from Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, why? Because that's what Chazal told me, and that's what the Rebbe said. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. If you have a chance, Chevra, just grab on to anything that enables you to smile just a bit more today. And we need it. We need the smiles more than ever. Our children need to see us smiling right now, big time. And we need to look at our children while they look at us smiling. So Be'ezer Hashem, this Purim will come, and we'll have the privilege of really going through the avoda of the hatchala, the avoda of the true hatchala. We're really going to take advantage of this beginning that Purim offers for us, so that then we can do the nikayon that we have to do before Pesach. And even though it's not pashut, Rebbe Nachman says that simcha is one of the most difficult avodas in the world. It's not a simple avoda to be simcha. But if I trust that if I first focus on the good in me, besimcha, I'll have enough strength to then do all the things I generally don't even try because I don't think I have a chance. Maybe this year we'll have a chance. Gediantiv, afreilichen Adar, afreilichen Purim. Let's all enjoy this hatchala together.